All right, we are live. Welcome. We've officially started.
Good morning.
So welcome everyone. I'm John Ahmann. I'm the President and CEO of the Westside Future Fund. We have the honor of being the host of this meeting. And thank you for being here. I do want to note for folks that we are live right now on social media channels. So we're live on YouTube. We're live on Facebook. So the cameras you see are picking up what's going on right now. And I'm very pleased to be here with my co-host, Ebony.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to the West Side. My name is Ebony Ford. I am an English Avenue resident. I am a very proud parent of my son, Jeremiah, who goes to Hollis Innovation Academy. Go Hollis. Back to school. Back to school. And I'm also the Director of Corporate and Community Engagement at Quest CDC, all here on the West Side. As I always say, the West Side is the best side. Everything else is just the rest side, okay? I did come up with that. Thank you. Thank y'all for being here.
All right.
Go ahead, John.
Well, good morning. I always like to start our summits with who is a first-time person here. So if you've been here for the very first time, raise your hand. All right, we got a good number of first-timers, so welcome. Welcome, and so that you know our format for this morning, Evie and I are going to just be up here for a couple more minutes. We always start our summit, ground our summit in a devotion from a member of the community, so I'll say more about that. And then once the devotion is finished, one of the things we take the time to do as part of, because what I've really appreciated about the collective work is building community by getting to know one another and how we can help one another. So we will take the time to do self-introductions, and then we will go to our exciting program with Danny from the Arthur M. Blank Family Foundation. And then we'll also be, when that part of the program is finished, we're excited that Dan and his team and Rodney from the same house are going to give an update on the Beloved Benefit. So thank you for doing that this morning. And then we also have a very exciting event at the end of September. I'm looking at my notes to make sure I say the date right. September 30th from 8 to 12 is our Ride for the West Side. So our Ride for the West Side, you can walk, you can run, jog, or you can bike. And so it'll be starting at our offices at 970 Jefferson. One of the things we love about the routes is we're very purposeful in lifting up some of the heritage and of the West Side. We're delighted to partner with Quest. Yes. So the proceeds are benefiting both the work of the West Side Future Fund and Quest, but the most important thing is to get out there, bring awareness to the work on the West Side.
Absolutely. So I went last year, it was the inaugural year. So again, as John said, very, very excited for the second year to be partnering with Quest so that we can do even more to further the missions of both organizations, again, Westside Future Fund and Quest. So it is an awesome event. You're going to love it, love it, love it. Come out, enjoy food, music, a heritage walking tour, games, and face painting. Jeremiah would love that. It's a community event, so children and families from our community are all invited. To learn more and to also register for the event, the website is westsidefuturefund.org/ride4westside. That's just the number 4. Again, westsidefuturefund.org/ride4westside. So make sure you guys register and come out September 30th.
All right, thank you. So we're going to move to our devotion. Before I bring up our devotion speaker and introduce her, we, and especially for folks that are new to this, we draw inspiration from the lessons of Nehemiah in the Old Testament and rebuilding Jerusalem. And so we take a lot of inspiration from Nehemiah. We don't necessarily ask our speaker to kind of do lessons from the text especially, but just to draw inspiration from that. But it's also important that we always ground the beginning of our devotion with a devotion statement. So I'm going to read this out loud, but you can also see it on the screen. It's become our tradition to begin our meetings with a positive, inspirational message from a member of our community. Recognizing that many in our community are driven by their spiritual faith to participate in the West Side revitalization effort, the time at the beginning of our meetings is an opportunity to share various inspirational reflections. While the speakers may articulate their personal faith, it's meant to be inclusive, inspiring, and meaningful with the story of Nehemiah as our guide. And as I am delighted that Yvonne Jones, the chair of the MPU in English Avenue Vine, she's going to give the devotion this morning. thank you. I think we have her full bio in our program you can see in our bulletin. And one of the things I appreciate about the lessons from Nehemiah is as he went to rebuild Jerusalem was on behalf of the folks that were there, right? How to rebuild the wall and rebuild the community on behalf of those that were there. And as a longtime resident of English Avenue, what I also appreciate about Yvonne is how much he fights on behalf of her community, not fights, but advocates on behalf of her community, and also her intention on building community not just with folks she's known for a long time, but folks relatively new like myself. And she's always been a great partner in our work, so I really appreciate you doing our devotion this morning. We'll bring you on up and let you take it from here. And please give her a warm welcome.
Well, I'm going to begin this morning by this little song, devotional. Oh, magnify the Lord, for he's worthy to be praised. Good morning and good day, Ashe and amen. I am so thankful to be here today to share with you this divine moment. It's really interesting to me and not coincidental. The last time and the first time I ever did devotional was right before the beloved benefit. And here I am again. And it's the beloved benefit. Right, Mr. Kathy? Yeah, so I'm excited about it. And when I was called upon, I could not possibly say no when I realized that my good friend Danny was going to be speaking. And so I joyously said yes, because this absolutely is a day that the Lord has made, and I'm absolutely rejoicing in it. And so when I think about the devotion for the day, I think about the beloved community. And at this point in time, there's a lot going on in our community. But is there unity in the community? You cannot have a beloved community without unity. And so this morning in Nehemiah 2:18, and they said, let us rise up and build. So they strengthened their hands for this good work. And good work is what is going on. There's other things and elements that are going on, but there is also good work. And so what we'll raise and edify this morning is the good work that's being done by the English Avenue Neighborhood Association, by Westside Future Fund, by so many other organizations, by Raising Expectations, by all the community organizations. There is good work going on. So we're thankful for that this morning. And so when I was contemplating, I said, what in the world will you say today? And then I said, come unity. And that's what we would like to invoke today. Come unity. We need the unity to move forward. And that's the only thing that will be able to propel us. When there's not unity, there is not strength. But where there is unity, it is strength and it's power, and it enables us to do the work that is before us, that we will strengthen our hands to do. Unity is what I would like to speak about this morning, because we come from diverse backgrounds, and people come to this gathering on Friday morning to speak about their organizations and how they want to work in the West Side and so forth. But if you do not engage the community, then there'll be no unity in it. You'll be doing stuff in a silo. Somebody's doing something over here in various places, but it is not in sync, not in harmony, and is not in unity. So come, unity, and unite with the community, that we will do a greater work together, and that we will accomplish those things which we put our hands to do. So as we gather together in unity, we must heal, because our neighborhood and our communities, and even you that are trying to do work in our neighborhood, have dealt with so many things in our lives and so much trauma and so many things that we need healing. We need healing inside as well as physical healing with all the health disparities in our community and throughout Atlanta. We do need healing. So I wanted to make that important, the healing aspect. And as we heal, we can restore. And as we restore, we can revive. And that's what everyone's talking about, the great revival, the great restoration of the West Side. The West Side is the great side. The West Side is, of course, the best side. And so at that point, what we do need is restoration, revival. And so that only comes through unity. You must unite with the community as well as you must unite within your own self. It's not easy to do anything without self-reflection. And I would call each of you to reflect on yourself and bring yourself to a level of restoration as well, so that you can go out and do the good work that is set before you. I am thankful to be here. I'm thankful for the opportunity. And what I would say is come, unity, the beloved community. Come, unity. Thank you.
All right, well, awesome message. I'm thinking on the unity, the call to action for unity, because part of it, at least as I reflect on that, unity in service of what, right? And what I appreciate about the advocates, I know him more about it, when you move around the neighborhoods, right, on the west side, is how much suffering you will see. And especially now, I've lived in Vine City now for about 4 years, and at the same time you see so much suffering, you also see the resources in our magnificent city. And so for me, part of the unity is how we connect the resources and the opportunity of this city with those that are suffering and need that opportunity. And as you reflect, too, as we think about, I know we'll hear more this morning of Dr. Martin Luther King, and the Westside Future Fund has as his vision statement, how do we develop a community he would be proud to call home? And often reflect, I think what he would first want to know is what's in your heart, back to love and building a beloved community. So thanks for those remarks, and give her another round of applause. And I appreciate, we're now gonna, back to unity is getting to know one another. So now we're gonna do self-introductions, and for those that are new and for those that have been before, we're gonna start over with you in just a moment, and I'll ask you to stand up. You'll take the mic and you'll say your name. You can say your affiliation. I'm with this organization, and then please, as much as you feel like you gotta keep talking, stop! Please stop, because we gotta get around the whole audience. Whole audience. And remember, if you go past, everyone's gonna be thinking, well, they went past. So please, name, affiliation, because we got a lot of folks and we want to get to our program. But one of the things, back to unity, is when you're thinking about the introductions, there may be someone you say, hey, I might be able to connect with that person and serve, or vice versa. So that's the point of these introductions, is to foster that community to build unity. So that's why we take the time to do it. It's an important part of our program. And hold the mic kind of close to your face when you say, all right.
Heather Kersey with the Good Samaritan Health Center.
Hi, I'm Jessica Hedden with Peace Preparatory Academy.
Rue Gunter, English Avenue resident and with Peace Preparatory Academy.
Good morning. I'm Dan Cathy with Chick-fil-A, and I'm a fan of all the graduates of the Booker T. Washington High School.
Asad Majid with Ernest & Young.
My name's Billy Ivy, and I'm a friend from Birmingham, a guest of Mr. Cathy.
Ross Cathy, and I'm with Zaxby's. I'm just kidding, Chick-fil-A.
Richard Taylor with Art Capital.
Rogers Williams, Icon Film Works.
Good morning, Lakeisha Walker, Atlanta Police Foundation. Good morning, Erica Collins, Atlanta Police Foundation.
Good morning, Jasmine Carter, Atlanta Police Foundation.
Good morning, Gloria Dorsey, Atlanta Humane Society.
Good morning, Colleen Ayala, Perkins & Will Architects.
Good morning, Beverly Tatum, Board Chair, Westside Future Fund.
Good morning, Dr. Pamela Chapman, Executive Director of Westside Atlanta Charter School.
Good morning, everyone. Alfred Garner, Covenant House, Georgia.
Good morning, Lee Hall, Covenant House, Georgia.
Good morning, Maria Armstrong, Raising Expectations.
Good morning, Omid Zenjanchan with Strive Real Estate Group.
Sandra Bush, a resident of the Booker T. Washington neighborhood.
Good morning, Corey Bishop, Atlanta Volunteer Lawyers Foundation.
Hello, I'm Dan Preister with Cox Curry and Associates.
Carlos Ross, Atlanta Police Foundation at Promise Center.
Good morning, Brandon Sherwood with Ide Bailey.
Good morning, Shamria Price with Aesthetic Leaf Spa.
Good morning, Brian Williams, Most Valuable Kids board member and founder of Hoop Supreme.
Good morning, my name is Ebony Jones. I live in Vine City and I have 2 kids at Hollis.
Good morning, Anthony Bellows. I'm a longtime Westside resident and volunteer.
Good morning, Tangi Allen, Raising Expectations.
Good morning, Andre Brown, Police Foundation.
Good morning, Sarah Blackman with Chick-fil-A.
Good morning, Vance Burgess, also with Chick-fil-A.
Eddie Schrader with Kimley Horn. Katie Roberts, resident, and Kimley Horn.
Good morning, Malika Chinny Coker with the consulting firm Ignited Word.
Good morning, Noriko Walker with Georgia Tech Real Estate.
Lamar Kareem, Atlanta Fire Rescue Foundation.
Good morning, Kristen Cascante, Atlanta Fire Rescue Foundation.
Good morning, Corey Smith with Better Homes Guards and Metro Brokers.
Good morning. My name is Bob Dickinson. I'm with Dickinson Partners Group and STEAM Sports Foundation.
Good morning, everyone. Megan Volkovic with Enterprise Community Partners.
Good morning, everyone. Emily Owen with Alvarez and Marcel.
Good morning. I'm Haley McFall with Restoration Atlanta.
Gerald Peak, Icon Film Works.
Good morning, I'm Tasha Ford, and I'm a proud alum of Clark Atlanta University.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Adam Corneth. I'm with the Global Virtual Reality, Augmented Reality Association.
Good morning, Linda Adams, Vine City resident.
Good morning, I'm Shantae McLaughlin, intern from Morehouse School of Medicine with Bard Business.
Good morning, I'm Lester Adams, new Ashview Heights resident, full-time employee at Paramount Pictures and small business owner.
Good morning, I'm Shirley Coleman with the Sadie G. Mays Health and Rehabilitation Center.
Good morning, I'm Mike Vincequer with Trees Atlanta.
Good morning, Rebecca King, Atlanta Police Foundation.
Good morning, Kelly Mackison with Atlanta Police Foundation.
Morning, guys. Marcus Vayon Everett with the Atlanta Police Foundation.
Hi, peace and love. I'm Brother L, and I'm with the Historic Westside Culture.
Good morning. My name is Tracy Bates. I'm a servant of the West Side. I serve in the capacity of president of English Avenue Neighborhood Association, board member of Historic Westside Gardens, and president of Historic Westside Cultural Arts Council, and a resident.
Good morning. My name is Myrna Clayton. I am executive director of Showability, empowering talented performing artists across the disability spectrum.
Morning, Laura Case with South Base Institute.
Hello, Kathleen Bryant with Partners in Change Free Life Coaching.
Good morning, I'm Sylvia Russell. I'm on the board of directors of the West Side Future Fund and on the GO team for the Booker T. Washington High School.
Good morning, Ebony Killian with managing broker of Sovereign Realty and Management.
Good morning. I'm Dave Stockert, and I'm on the board of the Westside Future Fund.
Good morning. I'm Virginia Hepner, also on the board of Westside Future.
Good morning. I'm Vicki Escara, formerly an executive with Delta Airlines and currently with the Boston Consulting Group.
Good morning. My name is Ehab Jalil. I'm the executive director with Ahmann Academy Charter Schools.
Hi, good morning. My name is Kevin Patterson. I'm president of Optimal Development.
Good morning. I'm Tanya M. Williams, broker and principal of Williams Realty and Consulting, and property owner in English Avenue, and the EANA Zoning, Housing, and Land Use Chair.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Evan Karanovich with Chick-fil-A and Rodney Bullard's bodyguard.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Marvin Bussett with Teens at Work.
Good morning, everyone. Larry Mason with Partners in Change.
Morning, Neil Shorthouse with Partners in Change.
Good morning, everyone. Chantal Hebert Clark, board member of Westside Future Fund and Go Team of Hollis Innovation Academy.
Good morning. My name is Rodney Bullard, and I'm a Westside Future Fund board member, and I came here to carry Danny Shoy's bag, so thank you.
My bag is secure. Good morning, everyone. Danny Shoy with the Arthur M. Blank Family Foundation and proud board member of the Westside Future Fund.
Good morning. I'm Caroline Huston with the Arthur M. Blank Family Foundation.
Came in while we were doing the introduction, so I'm going to take about 2 more minutes, but if you were missed and want to be introduced, please raise your hand. Let me do a little I Spy. All right. Wow, does anyone, I don't see some, does someone see someone that, we have a hand. All right. Yes, thank you for reminding, we want to make sure. You want to stand up? So, will you introduce yourself?
Hey. Hi, my name is Jeremiah, and I go to Hollis.
All right. Thank you. Well, it's hard to follow, but raise your hand if I missed.
Maria Supporter with Supporter Report, and Bill Bowling sends his greetings from Montreal.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Paula Moody. I'm the CEO of Families First.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Pierce Hand. I'm also with Atlanta Volunteer Lawyers Foundation and also a Washington High grad as well.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Heather Prill with the Home Depot Foundation.
All right, raise a hand. I'm gonna sweep around. Okay, no more here. This side, any hands? And also, we're at a tight program this morning, but I appreciate everyone that's helping broadcast the summit. And we got our whole Westside Future Fund team. So if you have any questions connecting to what we're doing, please check with our team. You want to go? Did you go?
I can, yeah. Good morning, everyone. My name is Kendall Cunningham. I'm a district executive for the Boy Scouts of America, the Atlanta Area Council.
Good morning, Charles Merriweather, Goodwill.
Drive past your house all the time, man. You just.
Good morning. I am Thelma Renault, and I have lived in English Avenue most of my life. Resident.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Keith, and I'm a resident of English Avenue.
You can come back this way. All right, thank you. All right, well, give it up for yourselves for doing the introductions. And what I really appreciate back to unity is often reflect that sometimes God puts in the room everything we can need but for seeing it, right? And so I think, again, the power of connection, and that's why we take the time to think about, because there's so many folks with enormous resources and leadership capabilities, but back to that unity to connect. So thank you for taking the time, the self-introductions. I hope that folks after the summit will take time to get to know each other better as well. And I'm excited now to bring up, we're going to bring up our guest, Danny Shoy from the Arthur and Blank Family Foundation's oversizes their youth and wellness portfolio as well as the historic West Side. And to make sure we know we want to have great questions. And so Carolyn from the Arthur and Blank Family Foundation is going to serve as the moderator and ask Danny some questions. And then we're going to have a little bit of time for questions from the audience, right? Great. And so I'm excited about the conversation. I'm remembering as we get ready to start, when the Mercedes-Benz, it hadn't been named at that time, but when the location of the Mercedes-Benz Stadium was announced, part of the intentionality at the time was to focus the city on these neighborhoods. I remember very well Mr. Arthur Blank, kind of the call to action of a lot of the corporate community. I know Dan, you really stepped up, and Chick-fil-A and others, and the Home Depot, and other corporations really leaned into that call for action, that initial framing of how to really dig in and help these suffering neighborhoods with some unity of purpose. And I really appreciated yesterday, and I know we'll hear a lot from him, but one of the things you said, we did a tour late afternoon with some students that Danny had in town, and I was reflecting on something you said, and I'm looking for this morning, is often these neighborhoods are referred to in certain ways, like, low wage, poverty. It's right, these frames are not particularly inviting. Like, what does that frame immediately do when you hear that frame? Oh, that's a poverty neighborhood. Danny, yesterday, in answer to a question from the students, framed everything as loss of connection to opportunity, right? That's the way so if you think about not poverty, but lack of connection to opportunity for quality housing, opportunity for a great job, opportunity, the loss of connection to opportunity. So I really appreciate how you framed that yesterday. I know we'll hear more about how you're thinking about that in our panel discussion this morning. So thank you. Let's bring you on up. And let's give them a round of welcome as they come up.
If you want to make a difference for thousands or just one person, where do you start? What does it take? How do you show up for your neighborhood, your community, your nation? It takes commitment, a commitment to get involved, a commitment to do the work, to offer a hand, an ear, a heart. A commitment as small as count me in, or as meaningful as I see you. Because when we commit and collaborate for change, we catalyze change. Whether you're across the country or across the street, let's make a commitment to protect our rights and champion our voices, to honor family roots and inspire future generations, to recognize our resilience and support our well-being, to lead the way when needed and to lift each other higher, always. To unite because of our differences, not in spite of them. And to shift our approach to green energy so we may all have a brighter tomorrow. There are no ifs about it. Whether it's for thousands of people or just one, let's make more differences together. Because when we come together, we thrive together.
Good morning, everyone. We love that video. Thank you for having us here today to talk about our foundation's work in Atlanta's historic West Side. I'm Caroline Huston. I'm the Director of Strategic Communications at the Arthur and Blank Family Foundation. I've been at the foundation for about 5 years here in the Metro Atlanta area for more than 20. As you can see, it's a really exciting time to be at the foundation. Our chairman, Arthur Blank, has committed to accelerating his philanthropy We have new collective giving areas where we'll focus our work for the next decade, and we're growing our staff to support these new areas in the accelerated giving. You may also notice this new logo behind us. Just 2 months ago, we completely relaunched our brand, new logos, new color palettes, photography, typography, illustrations, a complete overhaul. And that's the first significant change in our brand in more than 2 decades, so we're really excited about that. We have an updated mission to unite the courage. Unite. I had no idea that you were talking about that this morning, but there we go. We have an updated mission to unite the courage and compassion of our communities to take on tough challenges and thrive together. So we're here today to talk about the West Side and our evolved strategy for our work here, joined by Shoy Jr., who's our Managing Director for Atlanta's West Side and our Youth Development Portfolio. Some of you may know this is Danny's second stint at the Blank Foundation after spending 12 years at the Eastlake Foundation here in Atlanta, where he most recently served as president and CEO. Danny has 27 years of experience in the nonprofit sector, with organizations focused on youth and community development. And prior to joining Eastlake, he was with the Blank Foundation for nearly 10 years, and he was responsible for $28 million in grant making, primarily focused on youth development through education and arts and culture. I could go on and on about Danny's accomplishments. Many of you know him, and you know how focused and dedicated he is to his work. So let's hear directly from Danny. So first, for the very few people in the audience who don't know you, can you tell us how you ended up in Atlanta and how your career path led you to the Blank Foundation and specifically this role working in the West Side?
Sure, thank you, Caroline. So I'm gonna come back to your question, but I wanna do something that my grandmother taught me, my late grandmother who helped to raise me for the 10 most formative years, early years of my life, and that is to give thanks. So I wanna thank the Westside Future Fund staff and Westside Future Fund board. I'm proud to be a member of the board, and there are several board members here. I wanna thank God. You know the expression there, but for the grace of God go I. And I want to thank Sister Sade for the amazing devotional, her friendship, and her support. I want to thank the Blank Family Foundation staff who are joining online. Maria stole a little bit of my thunder, which is our board member Bill Bowling is watching from Montreal because he had to be away for business. Otherwise, he would normally be here. And thanks so many of you that I've had the opportunity and privilege to partner with through the years. I'd be remiss if I did not acknowledge one person that I know missed introductions, and that is Tolton Pace. Today happens to be Tolton Pace's last day with the Home Depot Foundation. Tolton, stand up for a moment. Thank you, Tolton, because I'm proud to share that beginning September 5th, Tolton Pace will join the staff of the Arthur M. Blank Family Foundation as our new senior program officer for the West Side of Atlanta. And Tolton is a native Atlantan, second generation native Atlantan, third generation to have lived in the West Side. So we're very excited to have Tolton join us. Thank you. And last but not least, very quickly, I know Caroline is watching my time, to thank Caroline and our amazing comms colleagues for the rebrand. So I'm fortunate to represent two of those bright, vibrant colors, red for Atlanta's West Side, and also orange for the youth development work, which is what recruited me back to the Blank Foundation. So I'm gonna tell you the super abridged version of what brought me here. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm originally from the Bronx, New York City. Grew up the Bronx, the Boogie Down Bronx, grew up in money-earning Mount Vernon for the latter part of my childhood, and then came to Atlanta in 1991 to attend Emory University. I was pre-med at the time at Emory, as are a lot of people, and then took organic chemistry, which is a wake-up call, and decided that there were other ways to help people and help community in the way that my community had benefited, with both of my parents being immigrants from a small, tiny country, second smallest country in the world in the Caribbean. So I learned about community service through my fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Rodney's a proud member, as are others. And after Emory, knew that I wanted to be more committed to service. I think about my life's work as being in service to others. I feel like that is my calling. So I worked for a number of local community-based organizations focused on national and or local community service organizations like Hands On Atlanta, City Year in San Jose, California, which took me away for a short amount of time. Realized how much I missed Atlanta, so I returned to Atlanta. As you mentioned, had the opportunity, returned to Hands On Atlanta, worked at the Blank Foundation, 12 years at Eastlake, and returned to Blank Foundation last February. Seems like time is flying. Initially to lead the youth development work, and 2 months in was fortunate to inherit, and I really do mean inherit, the responsibility for Atlanta's West Side.
Great. So to set the stage a little bit for the Foundation's investment on the West Side, Arthur and the Foundation have an enduring commitment to this community. We know that the neighborhood has a rich history and legacy that we believe should continue. And we believe that legacy residents should benefit from the positive changes that are happening here in the community. Our foundation's total West Side commitment over the past decade exceeds $55 million, and that will increase. And it's important to note that we're doing this together with many partners, other funders, residents, community partners, local government. The West Side Future Fund, among others, has been a key partner since the beginning. And Danny will talk a little bit more about how we're working with West Side Future Fund now to address affordable housing, including a grant that we gave recently in November. And he'll talk more about how we'll continue this important partnership to support Westside Future Fund's path to more affordable homes here. So with all that as background, around the time that you arrived, Danny, our foundation did an assessment of our work on the West Side. Can you talk about what we learned from that? What worked, what didn't work?
Sure. We learned several things. We learned that there were many positive developments from our work, but also places where we could do better. We also learned that through the investment in the 9 years that the Blank Foundation from 2014 to 2022, when I returned, invested in the West Side, that there was a 7-to-1 return. We learned that our role had been, with some intention by Arthur and the rest of the board, the rest of the Blank family, been a lightning rod or an attraction for other donors and doers, particularly corporate investors that have given back to the West Side. We learned the importance of listening. So as we worked on our strategy, which was literally my first month inheriting the West Side, worked on our new Atlanta West Side strategy, the importance to listen and respond, and listen to partners, listen to residents. That was actually my first opportunity meeting Sister Sade when we were doing that West Side strategy. And the importance to just be thoughtful, be nimble, be adaptive, and to be more focused.
Okay. And how did those key learnings help shape the evolved strategy that we have now?
So early, or through the duration of the 9 years, and I keep saying during the time that I was gone, because I feel like I get to claim a lot of credit for the work that happened when I was at Eastlake, but some of the great work that's happened since I've been back, I would say to you there are a few things that we learned. We learned that by being broadly focused initially on areas like education, health, economic development, a little bit housing, parks and green space, that our investment was really spread very broad and very diffusely, so that it would be important for us to focus and be clear about our role as funder and really lift up and support our partners who are working on the ground in community with residents. That led us to our new strategy, which I will tell you in simple, plain language, that at its goal is to increase the economic mobility for legacy residents living in the English Avenue and Vine City neighborhoods, so that they have viable options and supportive options and a viable choice to remain in an ever-changing West Side. What does that mean in simple language? It means that as the West Side continues to change and gentrification happens, we don't want for legacy residents and other residents who've lived in the West Side to be displaced. If you know me, you will often hear me say that gentrification in and of itself isn't problematic. It's the displacement that comes with gentrification that doesn't allow residents to realize, inclusively realize, the new neighborhood or a revitalized neighborhood. And I say that because through my time, not just working at Eastlake on the east side, as everyone said, the West Side is the best side. I know that gets me in a little bit of trouble. So I'm gonna say the east side is great, the north side is great, the south side is great, all of Atlanta can be great. And that's what pushes me to do that work. But Sade is telling me I have to say the West Side. But I say that to say that when I think about the work and the many lessons that I've been blessed to learn through the years, I know that when you talk to residents who are living in communities that have endured economic disinvestment and blight, no one wants to remain in a community like that. People want to remain in a community that thrived in the way that they knew that it once thrived. And I know that communities are really defined by their people. It's the culture. People are the lifeline. It's not just the buildings, it's the people who make the history. So that's important for me.
So our new strategy has two main components. We have the affordable housing, we have the financial inclusion. Can you talk about those individually and also how they work together?
Absolutely. So again, at the top of that strategy is economic mobility. And we see this economic mobility work through two pathways, as Caroline mentioned. One is affordable housing, and that affordable housing is multifold. It's a little complex. People often say housing is complicated. I don't believe it has to be. I think it's quite easy and everybody deserves high quality affordable housing. But when we talk about the housing pathway, it is creating or supporting partners that can provide housing, and whether that's production or preservation, rental and home ownership, and when possible for it to be green housing. The green is important not just because of the Blank Family Foundation's commitment to the environment and focus on climate change through energy, but it's also good for the community and good for residents because we know that oftentimes residents spend an inordinate amount of their income in utilities. So we, again, when green and when permanently affordable, which becomes an important part, that's what we look to support. On the financial inclusion side, that work will primarily be focused on adult workforce development, but we'll also look at innovative practice that allows residents to be able to increase their income. And we have some exciting things in the pipeline now that we're looking to innovate and test that I won't be able to talk about, but I will tell everyone to continue to look at the Blank Foundation website through the months of September, October, November to see what that innovation looks like.
So what do you hope the future looks like? We talked a little bit about, what we want to do, but I think, 10 or more years in the future, what do you want to see?
I want to see visible signs of increased economic mobility for our residents in Atlanta's historic West Side, particularly English Avenue and Vine City where we are focused. I often talk about choice, and choice is a powerful thing, and choice is something that those of us who have experienced privilege oftentimes take for granted. I talk about choice because, again, as I mentioned, we want for legacy residents who choose to remain and have that choice be theirs to be able to realize their full potential and enjoy the neighborhood, a mixed income, thriving neighborhood in the way that they like. There are some residents who may choose to move, and that's okay, right? But it's, again, all about choice. We want to see increased affordable housing, increased financial inclusion and financial security. So those are the things that I look toward. As John mentioned, I had the privilege of hosting the Babson students who are Blank scholars who came from Massachusetts, who've been with us through the week, touring and understanding not just the Blank Family Foundation, but the other Blank family of businesses. And I was struck by several moments of their engagement yesterday. I was struck by Ebony Ford, who is somewhere in the room, was in the room earlier, and Ebony sharing her personal story with them, which I won't share, of how she came to be in English Avenue as a homeowner and English Avenue as a resident and beneficiary of the partners, particularly Westside Future Fund and others, Westside Works. I was also moved by Miss Thelma, who I saw somewhere earlier. Miss Thelma, is she still? Yes, Miss Thelma, who spoke with such pride when we pulled up. She didn't know who she was talking to. We pulled up in a Sprinter. She didn't even see me. She saw the person that was driving. She saw Derek on the Westside Future Fund staff. And the pride in which you talked about the neighborhood is something that inspires me. That's what I want to continue to see 10 years from now.
I love that pride. So we made a handful of grants last fall. We made a couple of grants already so far this year. Can you talk about the organizations that are here on the ground, that are working in the community, that are our partners in this work?
Sure. So I can't talk about all of them because we've made several grants, but I do want to spotlight, of course, Westside Future Fund. We made a grant for a little bit more than $1 million to support two developments that are happening, one in English Avenue, one in Vine City, the one in English Avenue on Echo Street, the one in Vine City at 220 Sunset Avenue. Everyone probably knows that address. It's right next door to the home of probably one of the greatest Americans to walk the planet, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And also some history in that Maynard Jackson's family owned and built that house. But through partnership with the Westside Future Fund, it will bring online a total of 29, I think, John, affordable units. And when we say affordable, we're thinking about affordability at 60% of AMI and lower because we are very aware and want to be aligned with the demographic profile of residents in the community. I also look out and I see Megan, Vlakovic, hopefully I said Megan's last name right, she's nodding, good. From Enterprise Community Partners, we made 2 grants simultaneously to Enterprise and also ANDP, the Atlanta Neighborhood Development Partnership, to create a ecosystem, coordinated, structured ecosystem with partners like Westside Future Fund and Habitat and others to increase affordability. And essentially they have a planning grant that they will come back to us and say, here's a blueprint for how we can accelerate production and preservation in the community, because we are coming to this game a little bit late, quite honestly, as affordability continues to vanish. Atlanta Volunteer Lawyers Foundation, we made a grant to protect renters from illegal evictions, Chris 180, just to provide some support for mental health and wellness, and they've been a great partner on the rise for the financial education that they provide. And then this past March, and I know I didn't go through all the November ones, this past March we made 2 big grants, one for Atlanta Land Trust, which represents innovation, to build 4 new permanently affordable homes that are net zero ready. Some of those homes will have accessory dwelling units, as we think about, again, the range of affordability in the neighborhood, and then also first step staffing. What we learned over the last 2 years, Suganthi Simon, who I don't think Suganthi's here, but Suganthi was the senior program officer for the West Side Atlanta who helped recruit me back to the Blank Foundation, interestingly enough, and others, and is now at JP Morgan. She's moved on to a promotional opportunity. But we learned about the need outpacing supply of jobs. So we provided a grant to First Step Staffing to provide a full-time executive director in the West Side to help connect residents to opportunities.
So John mentioned Mercedes-Benz Stadium earlier, and you've mentioned some of Arthur's businesses. So we have this really unique opportunity to be connected to Arthur's for-profit businesses. And how are we leveraging that connection to make an impact beyond just grant making?
So the immediate way that we leverage the Blank family of businesses, and there are several, you just mentioned one, is through support of partners like Career Rise and programs like Westside Works, certainly through the Westside Culinary Academy that is done in partnership with Levy at the stadium, teaching residents, participants, front of house, back of house skills in the culinary arts. It's also through programs like Westside Ambassadors, which used to be part and operated by the Family Foundation. It was another lesson that we learned, is that sometimes that we're not the best operators. Right. So we transitioned that program out to the Blank family of businesses, and that program is for junior leaders or emerging leaders who are high school students and also young adults to be able to work on their, what people will call soft skills. I hate the term soft skills because they're not necessarily soft, but I would say employability skills or essential life skills, things like resiliency, like perseverance, so that they can be successful in life. And I'd be remiss if I did not mention, even though it is not a for-profit, well, it is a for-profit, most of it, is A&B West, which is Arthur's 4 ranches out in Paradise Valley in Montana. You see me branding here with intention, West Creek, which is set up on a conservation easement, is nonprofit in its purpose. It's where we bring our partners and thought leaders for 3 to 5 days at a time to convene out there in big sky country to do big sky thinking. So that's another way that we leverage beyond the grant making. And then I'd say the human resources. Right. We have associates across all the Blank family of businesses who volunteer and give up their time, which is one of the reasons I was excited to join the Westside Future Fund board.
So you mentioned Montana. You spent a week in Montana this summer with some of our stakeholders in our Westside work. Does anybody here go to that week in Montana? I heard it was, all right, I heard it was.
Sade was there too.
I heard it was a very fun week. Yeah. The dance floor was popping. Okay, so what did you learn there in Big Sky Country that you'll bring back here to the big city?
Sure. Part of the big sky thinking that we did there helped me to realize the passion. The West Side does not lack passion. I know sometimes people talk about the contention. I don't see it as contentious. I see it as passionate people who care deeply about their community. Sade was there. Tracy Bates was there. I got to spend a lot of quality time with Tracy. Tolton was there, representing the Home Depot Foundation. We had other philanthropy represented because we know that we can't do this work alone, that it's important for us to partner I also learned through Q, Cassandra Turner, everyone calls her Q, and John Helton's brilliant leadership, and through the partners, their career pathways partners that were there, about the rich opportunity for partners to coordinate, collaborate, and streamline so that they can work toward more efficiency, towards sustainability, and not just for the sake of the partner organizations, but for the sake of residents who need for the partners to be able to collaborate seamlessly so that they have easy access to the services that are provided. So I'd say those are probably the biggest things that I learned, and also the importance to listen. So those of you who don't know me, I listen. I try to listen deeply. I talk fast. My grandma is probably like looking down from heaven saying, slow down. But I know we're trying to cover a lot of ground.
We have 2 questions left, so
All right.
I think we're good. So we saw in the video, we have some new giving areas. We have environment, youth development, democracy, West Side, and mental health and well-being. So how are you working together with our foundation colleagues to have some of those other areas find expression within the West Side?
So I love that. I love the possibility, and possibility takes place. That was one of the things that we came up with in Eastlake. I got to give Eastlake credit there. But I would say that we partner and we workshop and we seek opportunities to create synergies between our collective giving areas. So we're not working in silos in the same way that I wouldn't expect for our partners in the West Side or residents or other stakeholders to work collaboratively. The environment is probably the best example because along with the West Side, it's the only 2 areas of the Blank Foundation's new work that actually has an approved strategy from our board. So thinking about that strategy and environment, thinking about the importance of green, affordable housing, the green element, thinking about how we also think about financial inclusion and workforce development and the opportunities to engage people who have largely been excluded from green jobs, from green economy, and I'm looking again at Sade because of her organization, Green is Life. There are opportunities there, and I have no doubt that as mental health and well-being, I'm trying to remember all of youth development, which I'm responsible for, absolutely will find expression in the West Side. And then there is not a way to not find expression in the West Side with our democracy giving, considering the West Side being the cradle and the home to so many of our iconic civil rights leaders, not just in Atlanta and Georgia, but really in the country.
So last question, what's next? Where do we go from here?
So we only go up. I'm a person who always looks forward, never looking back. Where we go as we continue to explore innovation. Arthur talks about the importance of innovating continuously as one of the Blank family of businesses' core values. He talks about so many of our core values in his book, Good Company. So I want to continue to partner. Even though Tolton will be the face that you see more often in the West Side, I am not going away, so you will continue to see me. I've had 1 or 2 people already ask me that, if that means they won't see me anymore. It means that you will see the partnership, as I mentioned, particularly youth development and the other areas, but youth development, which I'm responsible for. The future is bright. It means that there have to be more opportunities like this summit to bring people together. And that's probably a good point for me to announce with a great level of pride that the Blank Family Foundation has approved a grant, a new grant to the Westside Future Fund of, well, I won't say the amount, but I'll say an amount to cover 4 of these summits, including the one today, but 3 in 2024, because we realize the importance of bringing community together in the way that we have this morning. So very excited about that. And I will say, in the 30 seconds that we have left, I would not be a good Westside Future Fund board member if I did not say to our housing partners, to our financial inclusion partners, but particularly to our housing partners, thinking about the Westside Future Fund's Next Chapter campaign to realize the Westside Future Fund's goal of 1,500 affordable rental units, 250 homes, hopefully I got those numbers right, that we have to accelerate that work. So Blank Family Foundation certainly will consider our role in that and would invite all others who are donors and doers to also think about how we accelerate this work.
Thank you, Danny.
Thank you, Caroline.
About our strategy, and wanted to open it up to the audience for any questions from y'all.
So just to gauge, we have about 6 or 7 minutes for questions to keep us on time. So we might not get to everyone's questions, just want to acknowledge that. But I'm going to go to the first hand, Mr. Bellows. All right, yes.
And John, just as you go to the first question, I want to quickly acknowledge my colleague Casey Anderson, who's probably joining online, who came to us from the stadium in March. Casey is my administrative and program associate, who covers me on Atlanta's West Side on youth development, and then my colleague Wendy Feliz in democracy. So I realize that there are people in the audience who I've been meaning to connect with that I haven't yet because of 5 trips to Montana, week-long trips since May.
Casey's your gal.
Casey is the person to connect to. So I say that because if we don't get to your question, Casey is the person to reach out to help you get connected to me if you reach out to me and you have a little bit of trouble.
Well, good morning. My question is about, we need a grocery store in this area. We don't have anywhere to go within a mile of here to fresh food and fruits. So is that in your plans?
Sure. So absolutely an importance of access to fresh, nutritious food. I know all too well that oftentimes our communities are food deserts, and that has certainly impact on the health of the community. Food is not part of our strategy. I mentioned before that there are some hard trade-offs because it means that the Blank Family Foundation is all things to everyone, then it means we're nothing to no one. So we'll continue to be focused in this new strategy, at least for the next decade, on affordable housing and financial inclusion because we know the importance of those particular 2 areas to the West Side in this moment in time. I know at a point in time, the Atlanta Falcons Youth Foundation did focus on supporting food access in a variety of ways. And Caroline and I didn't talk about it in the interest of time, but we actually have across the Blank family of businesses, associate-led giving committees. So imagine philanthropy from the Atlanta Falcons, from Atlanta United, from the 4 Ranches A&B West, from PGA Tour Superstores, which is also owned by Arthur, from Dreamboat. There are a number of some of these for-profit enterprises that you probably don't know about. And if there is a touch in the area of food, it would likely be through one of those philanthropies and the possibility of exploring expression of their work in the West Side.
Good morning. Thank you both for your work and service. My question is, as a justice-impacted individual who also has lived experience with mental illness, who's also 5 to 7 generations of Black wealth on both sides, what are you doing around gentrification as it pertains to justice-impacted individuals when the system doesn't care if you're guilty or innocent in the recidivism conversation?
I really appreciate your question. Thank you for it. So there are 2 ways that I can respond. One is through our financial inclusion pathways and our partners like Westside Works and their career pathways partners like Construction Ready, like the Atlanta Center for Self-Sufficiency, and I certainly can't list them all, just in the interest of time, purely in the interest of time. But I know in their work that their work is around inclusive access, and that inclusive access is broad. So it's thinking about jobs that are skill-based, not degree-based, because that's important. We realize that degree-based hiring could be a gating issue and an unnecessary gatekeeper, and also around second chance hiring, as you mentioned. So that's important. With regard to your mention of mental health and well-being, it's certainly an area of the Foundation's giving. My colleague, Beth Brown, who leads that work, made a grant last fall to Chris 180 to complement the grant that we made, knowing that we were trying to responsibly exit the space of health. I see your hand go up again. Did you want to add something? Okay. So can you re-ask your question? Maybe I misunderstood it. Ah. Sure. Thank you for reiterating your question, and my apologies for misunderstanding it. So I would say a few things. When Caroline asked, what did we learn from the evaluation? One of the things that I hopefully mentioned, was that we needed clarity around our role as a funder. That's our doing role, is to fund, is to attract others. It's through the financial resources and the human resources. So when I think about the Blank family of businesses' core values, one of them is include everyone. That certainly involves people who have been justice impacted, and families and communities that have people that have been justice impacted. So the way for us to live that value of including everyone is actually through our grantee partners, and making sure that they live the value so that they are thinking about space and affordable housing for everyone. You're very welcome.
Hi, Danny.
Hi,
Thank
Tanya.
you for this wonderful interview. I did have a question with regard to Atlanta Land Trust. You said that they were receiving a grant to build housing with ADU, accessory dwelling units.
Yes.
And my question is that under the program, how they are doing the community land trust, what they're building? I'm just curious, because as being in the real estate sector, that's a little bit of a hard sell, and I was just wondering if you guys had the data on that, because with the community land trust, the person doesn't own the land, they own the dwelling.
Yes.
And so that's a depreciating asset, and so it's only worth as much as how well you maintain the dwelling. So I was just curious, in that, had you guys had data on the people who are in that program and how it's been received, and how, if and it is actually making, generational wealth?
Sure. So thank you, Tanya, for your question. So I won't go too deep into the depth of how land trusts work, and I know that not everyone in the room might know, but as Tanya mentioned, the way that they generally work at a high level is that they preserve the affordability by owning the land under the house. So think of it as a continuum, so that someone who might be a first-time home buyer has the ability to move from being a renter to an owner. When they sell the home, they can realize some portion of the equity, but not the full equity, because the full equity would flip it out of affordability and take it out of that continuum. So we have to think about the innovation and think about it not as the only vehicle, but one that we can test, because I think nothing is perfect. To your specific question, we do realize that when we look at the ratio, when we look at the math, when we look at the stats, that these 4 homes, some of which are primed and will have ADUs, some may not. We know one will absolutely not, because of the design and the size of the parcel. We know that up to 16 families can benefit over the life of the affordability, which is 99, 100 years. So think about that. It means on average, every 6 years, the homeowner may sell the home to create an opportunity for somebody else to be able to afford it. And we, of course, think about home ownership as a vehicle to generational wealth, which is why we appreciate the Atlanta Land Trust. But again, it won't be the only innovation. I'm learning more very rapidly about community land banks and other things that are also tools and vehicles. And those are just 2. They're not the only ones, but we have to start somewhere.
I'm going to let Maria go question, but I know.
And I'm going to mention Dan here. Back in 2015, February of 2015, Dan said in an interview with me, the great divide in the state of Georgia is Northside Drive. And this was a plea to try and get Atlanta to be much more intentional about bridging the West Side with what one would call the thriving downtown community and the stadium and the Georgia World Congress Center. Here we are in August of 2023, and I still look at Northside Drive as the big divide. What is the Blank Foundation doing? I'm going to go back to Dan. What can we do to bridge Northside Drive and make it a more humane street that actually connects our communities?
Thank you, Maria, for your question. So there are a few ways that I think about that. I think about certainly the building of the stadium, which happened during my time away from the Blank Family Foundation. I think about sports and how sports can bring people together. It's never lost on me, and I saw this when we drove English Avenue Vine City yesterday, how many proud Falcons fans we have, Atlanta United fans that we have. So I know that there are hosts of ways that the Atlanta Falcons, Atlanta United, Mercedes-Benz Stadium has been thoughtful about bringing community in and also being out in community. That's one. Two, as I think about affordable housing and I think about our partners, I continue to think about the ways that we can make a difference immediately along the corridor. So Caroline asked what's coming. There are a lot of amazing things that are coming. The World Cup is coming in 2026. We're thinking about that also with great intention and how we make sure that that is inclusive, that everyone feels the economic benefit of that. So I'll say to you, stay tuned on what we have in the works. It's probably premature for me to say now that will come along the corridor to make it less of a divide. And the last thing, Maria, that I'll say, I'm seeing John look at me, so I know I have to wrap up, is that sure, absolutely, while the North Side is a divide, as someone who's a lover of history, of culture, as someone who's a first-generation American with my family having no narrative in the American South, I would say to you that as Atlantans, and I consider myself an Atlantan, having lived here for 30 years, even though I'm not native, I think about the opportunity for us to think about all the places across the city that the West Side can inspire. Peachtree is a divider. Ponce is a divider. We have lots of streets that are dividers that we can be thoughtful as community residents, as activists, as champions to bridge that divide. So that's what I'd offer to you.
Thank them. Love them. Awesome. Thanks to you both.
Thank you.
We're going to transition, but as we do that, some reflections.
Yes, absolutely. I appreciate the conversation. That was awesome. And two things stood out that Danny said that took me a while to kind of understand that the difference as well. It's not the displacement that's the problem, because no one wants to live in a blighted neighborhood. I'm sorry, the gentrification, got it backwards. It's not the gentrification that's the problem, it's the displacement. And we have to just keep that in mind. We need to transform this community, transform it, make it better. But the legacy residents need to be allowed to stay once it's better. And the second thing is when he mentioned organic chemistry. I went to Michigan, and organic chemistry, it's a little bit sidebar, is the med school weeder course. Everybody knows that, so I can definitely relate with that comment that he made. And I also want to elaborate a little bit on being a beneficiary of the good work that's happening here on the West Side. Career Rise and West Side Works changed my life, changed the trajectory of my life. And so I'm just very appreciative personally for the work that's being done here, and let's keep it going.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Quest, for sure.
And I appreciate it. I appreciate the commitment of the Same House, the Arthur and Blank Family Foundation, the Home Depot Foundation, a lot of others that have enabled us to stand up more high quality, affordable housing geared and prioritized for residents from the community. And I was reminded of this importance over the weekend when we relocated a family in something that was affordable, but none of us would want to live in. And relocated to Villas at the Dome, the Westside Future Fund thankfully owned. The family, back to the different resources we now have back to opportunity. Two of the children went to the YMCA in Vine City, which is affordable thanks to a Head Start and other programs, but that was something that was very intentionally. Two of the other children went to Hollis Innovation Academy, right? They both worked at a dollar store, but back to connecting with better economic opportunities at the job training so they can earn better wages. He took the transit station to work at the hourly wage worker at Truist Stadium at the Braves. But the different resources that were very intentional, because not just high quality housing, which is so important that I've learned it's a health crisis, the housing issues in the city. But having high quality housing so they can stabilize and connect into these resources. Back to your question on the recidivism, we have another young man at the Villas at the Dome, went through the Promise Center, through that program. He does have an open docket too. We don't ding people for that. I know others do, but he's at Villas at the Dome. He got a job through First Step Staffing. He's working this today, and he wants. So the quality housing to connect, but the other resources in this community back to unity. So thank you, and thank you for all that support. And I'm excited now we're going to hear from Rodney and Dan about the Same House and the beloved benefit. The Westside Future Fund has been very fortunate to benefit from the very beginning and pumping a lot of that resource back into our quality housing. So I know we're going to play a short video and hear a great update. And thank you, Dan and Rodney, for giving us this update this morning. We'll bring you up while the video plays.
On August 24th, 2023, the Beloved Benefit, presented by the same house, is back and better than ever. We'll pack the Georgia World Congress Center with an incredible show of love for the city of Atlanta. Come celebrate organizations creating economic mobility in our city. Hosted by renowned sports commentator Maria Taylor and comedian and hometown hero Chris Tucker. Featuring surprise guests, artists, and speakers. And a jaw-dropping finale performance from the one and only John Legend. New location, new beneficiaries, new headliner. On August 24th, 2023, the Beloved Benefit is back. Join us.
Dan, you need no introduction in this room, but I'm going to give a brief intro for this conversation. Maria, you asked a question, and you started with a quote from Dan from 2015. Last night, we were at the Atlanta Business Chronicle. Dan was honored as a Lifetime Achievement honoree for the Atlanta Business Chronicle, and they had a host of pictures because Dan is very proud of the work he has done with Chick-fil-A, but even more so, he's proud of the work he's done on the west side of Atlanta. And you mentioned this divide of the north side. And really, this meeting here, this is Dan's ideation. Dan came up with this meeting some years ago. And he said, hey, we want to have a meeting in which we can meet early in the morning before people's calendars are full and before people can say, I can't meet. And I want to make sure that it is a diverse meeting. So I want you to look around. I want you to see the diversity of this meeting. And I want you to understand that this, in fact, is one of the ways, in fact, a very intentional, a very important way that we are bridging this divide across the north side. Additionally, we're going to talk about the Beloved Benefit. The Beloved Benefit and the Beloved Community and the notion of the Beloved Community is on display in this room, but it's also on display via the benefit itself. And this also was a Dan ideation. He had seen this effort in New York. Similar effort. So he wanted to do something here in Atlanta. And so we want to talk about the Beloved Benefit 2024. We've had the opportunity, 2023. I'm already getting 2024. 2023, we've had the opportunity to have this 3 years previously. And so we're excited about it. So Dan, I'm going to kick it to you because I want you to talk about your excitement for this year, a little bit about what's going on. I'm happy to add color as far as the beneficiaries. We have raised over $12 million, and this year we will top this. And those dollars have gone back to organizations like the Westside Future Fund, but even more so, the origin story is the West Side. The birth and the genesis of the Beloved Benefit is the West Side. So, Dan, I'll kick it to you, my friend.
Well, thank you, Rodney, and a joy to be with all of you here today, and I just want to salute our colleagues from the Arthur and Blank Family Foundation. I sent him your picture a few minutes ago in a text message and a little challenge and so forth to him because I'm looking at my question I was going to ask John when I raised my hand a few moments ago. Maria beat me to the question, but I was going to ask you guys when is the next date we can expect Arthur Blank to sit here at a Westside Summit for an interview as he did several years ago. I had the privilege of being able to have a little fireside chat with him, and it was a wonderful experience, very inspiring for me. And Arthur has been tremendous. If I had to name the top 4 or 5 people in my lifetime that have inspired me to be more ambitious with my life and do something significant with my life, it's Bernie Marcus, who I talked with just the other day, co-founder of Home Depot, an incredible individual, Arthur Blank, who has God anointed and blessed him to be a legendary merchant for the whole country. Our good fortune that he, landed here in Atlanta. My home is named after Bashert Farm and Gardens, inspired by the words of Arthur Blank and Bernie Marcus. So that's how close I personally feel and am inspired by the example of Arthur Blank and the representatives that he has. And so I just want to salute you as being a deep inspiration in my heart and life. So I want to go back to this verse of Scripture, and this relates to our opening devotional that we had this morning from Nehemiah, that the work that we're doing here, before broken street corners are repaired, before we find a grocery store in the food desert that's here, before we get to affordable housing, there's something that has to happen that precedes all that, and it's a broken heart. This is a platform of ideas. Martin Luther King was so inspired because the richness of his ideas, the nobility of his cause, that inspired the world. And it sat on an incredible, noble set of ideas. And so I want to just recall this verse of Scripture very quickly, and we're going to get to the beloved benefit, but the beloved benefit sits on a foundation of some ideas. And it says this, Ephesians 2:10, many things we could reference here. But it says that we are His workmanship, Westside Works, the Summit, all the things we're doing. This is God's work. He's going to use us, that future generations are going to talk about these summits that were at the Waco hour of 7:30 on Friday mornings for almost 10 years now. And we are all a work in progress. I'm so much on that I got in training on my own name tag. Why is that? Because I didn't quit doing stuff. I'm just getting started. And I'm a trainee, so give me a little flack if I mess up. But I'm not going to stop trying. I'm not lurking on my golf game. I love golf, but I love being here. Better than East Lake, better than Piedmont Driving Club, the Peachtree Club. You go down the list. I'd rather be right here, right now with you. Because this is what God called me to do. So I may be 70 years old, but I'm still a work in progress. And I'm His workmanship. Created in Christ Jesus from above, all this here, ready to be used. This is a different translation than normally. For good works, working on the west side, which God prepared in advance for us to do. And so God's been working on you, and your efforts to pour your heart into what we're doing right now is a bridge toward even bigger things that God's going to do in all of our lives together, you and you personally. But you got to go through this step at Westside Summits on a Waco Friday morning to be here, to show up, dressed out, ready to play, ready to go to work. And you come to work every day, and God's going to continue to bless and use your life and expand your platform of influence. It takes a lot of work. Got to set the alarm clock early, especially when you're in South Fayette County, to be up here. And so with that said, God wants to work on our hearts. He's working on your heart right now. And it's with broken hearts that God can do His best work to repair a lot of other broken hearts that are here in this community. And we're part of the project. Rodney, you're part of the project. John, you're part of the project. I look at your life, John, and I see the Westside Summit transformation in John Ahmann over here. He still doesn't know how to grow hair. But boy, have I seen God work in his heart, over these years and his leadership here with the Westside Future Fund. So the beloved benefit is another idea. We saw the Robin Hood event on 60 Minutes a number of years ago, featured, where God had worked in the life of a hunky-dory guy that made investment banker, and he was raising, tens of millions of dollars. Why can't we do this in Atlanta and do it even better? And I'm not sure what you're going to be doing next Thursday night. Maybe you got to be at your son's baseball game, or they got a party. Be at that party. Be at the baseball game. But if it's anything less than a big family commitment, we all need to be at the World Congress Center this next Thursday night to experience this. I want all of you to please be there. This is a mega event for us. It's the biggest event I think that we do here in the city of Atlanta. It's absolutely the biggest dollar spend, I can tell you for sure, that we do. And it's intended to inspire us all. And they started putting up rigging yesterday, rigging all the lights. It's a big production at the World Congress Center. Rehearsals have been going on for a long time. We got John Legend. Last time I personally saw John Legend was when Arthur Blank had him at a big party before the last Super Bowl we had here in Atlanta. So I sent him a little text and said, your buddy John Legend's coming next Thursday. Come be with us at the Beloved Benefit. So it's going to be an exciting evening, and it's going to be very inspiring. And we're going to see a showcase of wonderful, talented young people and artists right here in the West Side, other areas of Atlanta. It's going to be an exciting evening.
It's going to be impactful. You know, I mentioned that we raised over $12 million from the prior Beloved Benefits. $5.3 million went to the West Side directly. $800,000 went to the West Side directly. Over $6.2 million last year went to throughout the city of Atlanta. And economic mobility. As an aside, Tolton and Danny are a blessing. You all saw that on display. You will continue to feel that up close and personal. But when we talk about economic mobility, this isn't accidental. We know that economic mobility is important. I've never seen a community of poverty fail to have issues of crime, education, or health outcomes. And I've never seen a community of wealth have systemic issues of any of those. Because at the end of the day, when you have the ability economically, you do better, you have more resource, you create more opportunity. And that's what we want, to create that choice, which is an opportunity. And so through education, through entrepreneurship, through employment, we know we can create economic mobility. Unless you win the lottery or you steal, that's the only way you can create economic mobility. Education, employment, or entrepreneurship. And so the organizations we're supporting are going to receive those dollars.
Now, Rodney, I mentioned that I was inspired one Sunday evening watching 60 Minutes when they profiled an investment banker in New York. And here we are, we're doing our third Beloved Benefit, and we may be on the eve of spawning and inspiring some 10 other cities. So tell us about that.
So Atlanta influences everything. You all know that. I'm a native Atlanta myself, born and raised. My father pastored on the west side. I grew up on the east side, so I claim both. But at the end of the day, we can take what we are incubating here and take it to other cities, because the issues of Atlanta, the issues of the west side, they exist in every major city throughout this country. And so we're going to have Salt Lake City, Houston, Dallas, Detroit, Chicago come in. And they're also going to see what we're doing here in Atlanta. They're going to see organizations like the Westside Future Fund. And the question is, how can we learn from one another? How can we sharpen each other's iron? And so there are programs there that we want to bring in. Westside Future Fund came because we went to Cincinnati, John. And we went up on Dan's plane and we saw what they were doing at 3 CDC. We came back here, and in fact, we were able to do it even better. And so what programs can we export? What programs can we import? And the Beloved Benefit is one of those programs we think we can export.
So we're going to be riding around in a bus. We're bringing these folks in. I'm not sure how many total delegates we've got from 10 other cities that are coming here, and we get to brag on the Westside Future Fund and John Ahmann and all the great work that all you're doing. And people are inspired by what's happened. We got a lot of problems. We still got broken sidewalks. We still got trees we need to plant. You know, for Trees Atlanta, we've got a lot of work to do. We got, you know, people giving us a bunch of flack for what's going on with the Atlanta Police Foundation. I mean, we got trouble all over here, but we've made a lot of progress, and we still got challenges going on. But there are other people that are wanting to come to Atlanta and see what we got going on here. So you need to feel good that while we got a lot of problems and there's a lot of work to be done, already, this is becoming a magnet for people to see. Yes, it takes a lot of work, but look at the lives that can be transformed and changed. And we got a story that other people want to know. They're going to be here. And so y'all polish up your front driveway when we come riding through town here next Wednesday and Thursday, because they want to see our progress and they want to see how to put on a transformative event like we'll have this next Thursday.
So come out August 24th, Georgia World Congress Center. We have John Legend, Maria Taylor, Chris Tucker. We're going to have a wonderful event, but this is truly a party for a purpose. And we're going to be impactful, and we're going to do it together. The one thing as we dismount, Dan saw this event in New York, and it was a wonderful event. And we went up and we went to see it. And I'll never forget, there were these big round tables, and I was right next to Oprah's table. But I couldn't get to Oprah because there were so many people there. There were bodyguards, and it didn't feel like an event, even though they were raising money to reduce poverty in New York. There weren't any poor people there. And so at the end of the day, we don't want to introduce poverty. We want to introduce this sense of community. Everybody is welcome. And so come as you are, no black tie. If I see you in a black tie, we will laugh at you. But come, look good, have a great time, and you're welcome.
That was awesome. That was awesome. Yes, awesome. Beloved event, I'm telling y'all, come out August 24th. You will absolutely love it. It was the time of my life last year, so please come out. I want to invite everyone to subscribe, follow. Get engaged with us. We're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and also if you're watching on YouTube today, make sure you like and subscribe. Okay, next time come out in person. We want to see your face. And join us back here September 15th. Microsoft will be in the house. Anything else, John?
Final thanks, Sade, Danny, Rodney, and Dan Cathy for reminding us the transformation of the heart. Right, and as we all forth go down, I want to go back to that unity call to action. Unity in service of what? And one of my favorite sermons from Dr. Martin Luther King is the drum major instinct. Right, and he called upon us to be a drum major for justice. Right, and I live on Sunset just to be kind of reminded of that, what that means in service in terms of a transformed heart. So thank you for that reminder. I took a lot of inspiration today. I hope everyone in this audience too, but I would invite you, as we call to action to the beloved benefit, is what is that unity of purpose? How are you a drum major for justice and moving forth the great work on the West Side? Thank you for being here. Thanks to my co-host, Ebony.
Thank you. Thank you, John.